Hi and welcome to the final part of our full workflow for 360 degrees video. And this last part is going to be centered around reframing, which is actually a way to create a normal video out of a 360 video. So let's get right to it. So Reframing is a plugin for Adobe Premiere that allows you to create a normal video out of a 360 video. Why would you want to do that? Well, there are multiple reasons. The first one we can see is that maybe you are working for a professional shoot and maybe your client wants to be able to broadcast the experience he's going to give to people on a TV. For example, in a trade show, you want to have TVs showing a video and then have the headsets so that people can immerse themselves into that video. That's a great way to do that. This process we also call OverCapture is also really interesting because suddenly the notions of field of view and the notions of having to move your camera in situation are things of the past, because all the camera movements you are going to be able to do them in post-production. It also means that you can film events and things like that where you don't have to be so wary of missing something that's happening around you. You can basically have everything that's happening around you and make your choices in post-production afterwards. So how exactly does that work? Well, here I have a 360 degrees video. So you can see that here, if I open the GoPro VR player, we have this experience that we created for Le Tour de France. And this would work perfectly nicely in a headset or on YouTube and Facebook with a 360 degrees player. So I'm going to go into my FX control and I'm going to grab the GoPro VR Reframe plugin, drop it onto my sequence, and you can see now that the view has changed slightly. One thing to be noted is that now if I open a VR player, you can see that this is not a 360 degrees video anymore. Like, this would not work in a 360 degrees player. This would not work in a headset. Now in my FX control, I now have my GoPro VR effect, GoPro VR Reframe effect. And I have a few different controls. The way you would probably work with that is that you would start by creating keyframes in all the aspects that you know you're going to be using. Then you just have to select whatever you want, however you want to organize your experience. The idea would be that the field of view here allows you to zoom in and zoom out of your image up until a full zoom out, and you can even then go into a little planet projection that allows you to have this full 360 view. But you can also see that if we go back to 0 here, you have a massive field of view. Suddenly you have more than 200 degrees of field of view, which for immersive shot, for action shots, if you have a 360 degrees camera and you want to have this massive field of view, it's a great way to do that and to create those really impressive and really cool shots. The other way you can interact with the GoPro VR Reframe plugin is if you click on the title here, you can then now just grab and rotate the sphere and arrange things in a much faster and much more convenient way. If you go back to a more traditional field of view, you can also just create a first keyframe here. Then maybe go forward a little bit and do a camera movement, and you're gonna now see that I have now a very nice and smooth panning moment. And so if, let's say now we are gonna go into a little planet projection, I'm just gonna grab another keyframe here to lock this in place. Forward a little bit. Go to that last frame. another keyframe, and I'm just gonna expand my field of view, click on the Reframe plugin. I like that view. Now you see, this is important. This is why it's important to have another keyframe, because if I had not keyframed some of those settings before starting to rework on that precise moment in the video, I would have started to move around more than I wanted for the previous sequence. So now I start with this nice pan while the sun is setting, and I'm going into my little planet projection for this time lapse. And so on and so forth. You can then even just export those moments and make them interact with a traditional video. You can go from some Reframe 360 video to some normal video that you shot with your GoPro Hero 5 or with your Hero 4 or with another professional camera. Whatever you prefer is going to work just fine. It's going to be a completely traditional video. There's just one thing that you need to be aware of and conscious about, is that when you are going to export this file, you have to make sure that in the source input, you are going to have to crop to a 16:9, to the 16:9 proportions. So you're going to lose a little bit on each side. And here you should not have match source. You're going to be at 1920, that's by 1080. And now if we go into our output, we have a normal, completely regular full HD video that we can work with. So that's it for the reframe, and this concludes our Omni and 360 video full workflow tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and please leave comments and reach out to us on the forums and the support centers if you have any questions. Until then, see ya.